Hey everybody, this is Ernie. Welcome to a video of a severe windstorm in Kansas. This storm occurred Thursday about 1:15 a.m. August 1st, 2024. The first picture you see here is a day before the storm. Note the package box sitting there next to the driveway and the lack of debris in the picture. Now we're switching to after the storm. Notice that next to the car, if you look close, there's a steel cable there, a metal cable. That's a overhead power line. I think it's about 7,000 volts. Fortunately, it was not hot at this time. It's coiled up on both sides of the car. Plus, you see debris around the car and a big branch out on the driveway. This is a tiny scratch of the tons of damage we had. Next, we're going to show you what this same camera looked like during the wind blast, which lasted about a minute, and then we'll show you lots more of the damage and more security cameras. Stand by for lots of action. Well, that was pretty loud. Hopefully that didn't hurt your ears too much. I should note that those security cameras don't usually give much noise during wind, so the wind had to be very strong. We had a wind sensor out that is partially shielded from bushes and stuff, and it measured 68 miles an hour, so it was considerably above that. How much, we'll never know. Now what we're going to show you next is a picture of the yard as a whole and kind of guide you through what's going on. And the pictures we're going to show next are from a drone, and we'll show you kind of what we're looking at here. Now this tree front and center is what I call the heart-shaped tree. From the other side it looks like a heart, and between there and the house there is a debris field of small branches and leaves and twigs and stuff all the way to the house. It's hard to see from this angle because the sun will get a better picture later. Up there in the distance on either end of the house that just went out of view, there are two big clusters of cottonwoods that got torn up pretty bad. This tree here's got a branch down there in the shadows. That's pretty minor compared to the rest. Swing around here and take a look at it. But there's a branch down there. Again, this is minor. The big stuff is over by the house, and we'll show you that in a little bit. Now what we're going to show you here is a big Bradford pear that we had in the front yard. Beautiful tree, 40 or 50 years old, and now it's a pile of branches all neatly stacked up there. Shredded trunk left there, and that was our favorite shade tree. We'd sit on behind it. There's a bench there behind it up next to the house that we usually sit on. It's kind of buried, so we'll see if we can find it later. Okay, what we're showing you now is on the north side of the house, on the side of a berm. This is a cherry tree. We obviously lost about half that tree. It laid it down to the north, split the trunk right down the middle. We're hoping that it will recover. Now here's a view of our Purple Martin house. The pole got snapped off near the bottom, so it's going to need some repair, a replacement or whatever. Okay, here we go up to a high altitude view of the house so that you can get a better idea. Up to the top of the picture is where the Bradford Pear is. Off to the northeast side of the picture is really the north side of the house. Cluster of cottonwoods there. Off to what is now the southwest in this picture is another cluster of cottonwoods laying down on the ground that took a hit there. And right here from the house looking straight up, yeah, right up there, right along that line from the top to the bottom. You can't see it here, but there's a bunch of limbs and twigs scattered across there. So that's an aerial view to see what we're looking at. Now we're back down to ground level. There's the birdhouse again, and we had some boats sitting along here next to the trees. They're blown back into the trees, and a lot of limbs down up here. Now as we turn to the left here, you'll start to get an idea of a bunch of debris. It's hard to see from this angle, but this is the north set of cottonwoods that's all scattered down across the yard, mixed in amongst the oak trees. There you see the top of the maple came out. We lost about a third of the maple. Now here's the south cluster of cottonwoods. Those limbs you see there are tree size. They are very large branches laying down there. A couple of them came out of the tree. The tree now looks tornado ravaged. Somehow the house came out without a scratch. Now here we're down at the driveway level to show you this again. There's that car we showed in the first video. The package box is back in place, but we haven't fixed it yet. But that was the car that had the power line wrapped around it. Here's the Bradford Pear from the other side, looking from the north. And again, it was all neatly stacked except for that one limb on the driveway. Not much left of it to grow. It is probably what took down the power line because it was up close to the power line there. This is again a quite large tree here. It doesn't look very big here, but this is very large. Again, 40 or 50 years old. Really hate to see that one go. It was full of white blossoms every spring, provided lots of shade. Now I'm going to swing around to the right here so that you can see back towards that heart-shaped tree I talked about. There it is off in the distance. And as we get over here where the sun's at the right angle and get in line, you'll see that there's a whole trail of twigs and little branches and leaves all the way from the heart-shaped tree all the way back to the house. And it's kind of like a bomb blast went through it and just scattered that. It's a couple 100 feet distance there where it just scattered that all across the yard. And again, off here to the left, right where we're looking, another tree with a limb knocked down, but it's kind of a mess out there. Now what I've done here is it's the unforgivable sin for the photographer's shadow to get caught in the camera in the picture, but I did it here just for fun. There's the photographer, a Mavic drone. So there you go, unforgivable sin. Okay, we're going to get back into the really exciting stuff. Where the storm, the before, the after, and the during of the storm, and so we're going to do that. This first one here, not much different scene before and after the storm. Some of these chairs get moved, but during the storm, watch this corner of the gazebo. This gazebo gets to swaying a lot. It's mounted on like 6 posts and it was moving several inches. I'm surprised it didn't blow over. So let's move on to the after pictures, which is here. And as I mentioned, a couple of chairs moved, but not a whole lot else to see here. So let's move on to the during, the fun stuff. Oh, I forgot to mention, this deck is on the northeast side of the house, which is the downwind side, so it should be protected from that strong wind. The camera's looking off to the southeast, but yet it still gets plenty of wind, as you'll see here. was fun. Now, this is for the next camera, which is below that same deck, and the camera's looking somewhat to the north. Just to the right is a maple tree that we lost a third of the top. What you'll see change in the after is a little branch laying down here, some debris. Off in the distance you can see that white dot. That's a propane tank. If you got closer, you will notice that it broke off the wet valve line that we use, and the tank is leaning just a little bit. You can't see that in this picture because it's too far away, but also right next to the propane tank you'll see a big pile of cottonwood stuff. So let's get over to that. Okay, here's after the storm. A little bit of debris on the concrete. Off in the upper right corner there's a pile of cottonwood stuff, and the hammock fell over. So let's see what it sounded like. Again, this is on the east side, downwind side, underneath the deck, so it should be well protected, but you'll see. Okay, so we're moved to a camera on the west side of the house, southwest, where the wind was coming from. However, it is back up under the roof of the porch, on the porch, so it's somewhat protected. The before and after look essentially the same, so we're just going to show you the before and then get into the during. So here we go. Okay, now we're looking at the driveway. You saw the car on the very start of the video. This is from a camera on the other side of the driveway. The driveway is kind of on the north end of the house. We don't have a during from this one. The camera cut out during the actual wind blast, but we can show you before and after. And obviously this is before. And this is after the storm. And not a lot of change. If you look close, you can see a power line laying in the driveway somewhere down in there in the leaves and stuff. A little bit, a few leaves behind the car. In the distance past the car's windshield is a pile of limbs back there. If you look behind the car, way off in the distance, there's a little gray box. That's the package box that got blown away. It's laying clear up against that berm and laying on its back with this lid open. So there's that. And again, we don't have an after on this one, so we'll just move. We don't have a during on this one, so we'll just move on to the next one. Which means we're moving to the shop building cameras, which it's a separate building. It's a red iron building, metal sides, metal struts inside. And what you're seeing here is from a camera mounted on the north side of the building looking east. So the wind, this is in between the house and the shop. You can see the shop on the right edge there. The three trees on the left edge are the ones that had the tops break out of them. Some of them did. And so that's what you'll need to look at. You'll see here there's no debris on the ground, and in the after you'll see a pile of limbs off to the back in the distance on the left hand side. And there that pile is in the after picture, and plus some other debris. That's kind of deceiving there. Those are really large trees, so the branches themselves are tree-sized branches. They're quite large. Again, looking east here, so the wind was coming from behind the camera, blowing straight away from us here, and in between the house and the shop. Now we move on to the during, which is the exciting part, action and adventure, and that's coming up next, so enjoy. Oh, one thing I forgot to mention is if you're paying attention to the time clocks up in the upper left hand corner of the pictures, those of you that are astute and technical will notice that the shop cameras are about a minute faster than the other cameras. In other words, in the other cameras, the major wind hit at about 1:14 a.m. and on these cameras it hits at about 1:15 a.m. Not 1:14, but 1:15. So just it shows up as a minute later when it's really not. Now we're moving to the camera on the front of the shop, which is looking across the front of the shop, basically north towards the house. It's black and white because the day before, on the before pictures, it was cloudy enough that this camera thought it was nighttime, so it's in the nighttime mode. But the key thing to look at here is in between this one tree in front of you and the house. Back there in the distance you can see the driveway, and if you look close, just this side of the driveway is a bench and things, but you can see the driveway back there. In the after pictures you'll see there's a tree piled up there. The bench is covered and needs to be rebuilt, plus into that walkway needs to be rebuilt and the like. The wind in this case will be blowing from the left to the right and will be pretty neat. We'll show you here in a little bit. This is before and this is after. Again, look at in between this small tree and the house. Where the driveway used to show is now a pile of limbs. As I mentioned earlier, this was an enormous ornamental pear or Bradford pear, bloomed white blossoms, really huge every spring, and was one of the prettiest trees in the neighborhood. Now it's crushed our wooden sidewalk, crushed our bench, and needs to be cleaned up. Next, we will show you the exciting part, the during. Unfortunately, the during has so much noise, so much wind and everything, it's hard to tell what's going on. During the flashes you might see the tree, but it's mostly just a bunch of screeching wind and rain blowing and stuff, but we're going to show you anyway because it's scary sound. There we go on that. That's the last outside during we have. After watching all that and hearing all the howling, I'm starting to wonder if maybe this wasn't just a straight wind. Maybe it was a small tornado, because it certainly had a lot of howling going on, and we were just fortunate that it didn't do any more damage. I have brought this outside picture back up just to give me a chance to narrate to set up for the next one. The next two are going to be videos from inside the shop. The shop has a second floor in it with a small room that has 3D printers and stuff in there. And I'm going to show you how inside the printer room things were shaking. And personally, if I'd been up there during this storm, I probably would have been pretty scared. So first off, I'm going to show you a camera mounted to the ceiling, and right after the video starts, you'll hear some loud thumps and see the camera and ceiling shake pretty bad. So here we go on that. I will play it several times, 3, 4, 5 times, and so you'll get to see it since it happens pretty fast. So you can watch the timer up in the upper left hand corner if you want to know when it's going back to the start. So here we go. Now that would have been a scary room to be in with all that banging and booming going on. Next, we will show one more inside picture or video, and this will be a camera that's mounted on a monopod that's got a crow's foot on the bottom so it'll stand up. It works great inside, usually pretty stable, but the floor shook hard enough that everything in the picture seems like it's wobbling back and forth, when in reality it's probably just the camera wobbling back and forth on the monopod. So enjoy. Well, that brings us to the end. No more pictures. You're probably bored by now anyway, but if you have enjoyed this and liked what we have put in here, and make sure you hit subscribe. As you notice on my channel, I do lots and lots of different things, all kinds of interest, and my friends call me a mad scientist. So I do thoroughly enjoy a good Kansas thunderstorm. I was not home for this one, but at least I got it on video for everybody to enjoy. Thanks. Bye. I forgot one thing. Very important, absolutely important, that everybody leave a comment on whether you think this was a tornado or a Kansas windstorm. Also, give us a little idea of whether or not you would have liked to have been here and experienced all this. Thank you. Bye.